What's up everyone, my name is Luke and in today's video we're going to be reviewing Future Motion's latest flagship board, the Onewheel GT, and discover if it really is a quantum leap in one-wheel performance. Let's first start off this video by talking about the specifications of this board and how the Onewheel GT has more power, more range and more control. To achieve more power, the Onewheel GT has a 72 volt battery pack, which is a large improvement over the Onewheel XR. But what this really means from a rideability point of view is you have more power and more torque, and it provides a dynamic performance at all speeds because now you can be going 15 miles an hour and really lean on the front, and you don't feel any surging, you just absolutely rock it up to some crazy high speeds. And this is where the extra horsepower, which now means the board has 3 horsepower, really shines. The Onewheel GT also provides more range for longer adventures, and you can now actually get up to 32 miles on a charge in comparison to 18 being the best you could get on an XR as advertised. Now obviously there's many factors that determine how much range you really will get in the real world, but it is a huge upgrade and I am seeing double the range that I used to get on my XR, so I can now have a full day of riding without needing to charge. The Onewheel GT also provides more control by having concave foot pads both front and back, and also having grippier grip tape. This is great because on an XR out the box you would get stock Sure Stance foot pads, and this didn't have any side to side concave, but now with the GT you're getting concave front and back foot pads with grippier grip tape as standard, which is great because you're going to be saving money, because on an XR you would have to spend extra money on accessories to get a concave rear foot pad, but now this comes straight in the box. It's also amazing how the Onewheel GT comes as standard with a concave front sensor pad, and this is unheard of from Future Motion in the past. So this is a huge upgrade for providing more confidence and more control when riding, and it really goes to show how technology has advanced. The Onewheel GT also has an enhanced power band, which really puts the 3 horsepower to the test. They have totally redesigned the control system and it uses the higher voltage for more power, more torque, and this is effective at all speeds. And who doesn't like more voltage? It just makes the board feel like an absolute weapon, and it's going to crush anything you put at it. To achieve the 32 miles of range, Future Motion have used state-of-the-art 21700 batteries to provide a peak performance across the state of charge, and what this means is you're still getting crazy good torque even at 30% in my opinion. Now the XR had amazing torque when it was around 80%, but as the battery would go down you definitely did feel the torque reducing, whereas the GT, from my riding experience so far over the 100 miles I've done, it feels like it retains the same amount of power pretty close down to very low percentages. So this is a massive upgrade, which means when you are going to be doing 32 miles you still have enough power to get back up the hills even when you're low on charge, and this is a huge upgrade. Out of the box you can choose when purchasing your GT whether you want to have a slick or treaded tyre on your board, and this was once again unheard of out of the box with stock Future Motion boards. So this is great if you know you're going to be on the trails the majority of the time, you can go for treaded, or if you know you're going to be on the street you can go with the slick. I personally chose the slick because even with my aftermarket tyres on my XRs I've always enjoyed a slick tyre, and the carvability that you get out the box on a GT is definitely a vast improvement over the Vega on the XRs. But the one thing I do want to mention is, to make this tyre last so long, it's going to get thousands of miles before you'll need to replace it. But there is obviously a trade-off, and that is Future Motion have used a very hard compound, and even when I'm riding the same 18 PSI that I ride on my XRs, you can definitely feel how stiff the GT tyre is, and this does mean over very rocky terrain you can get bounced around a little bit, And this is not ideal for keeping the power down when you really want to be going fast, and it does lead to slightly more uncomfortable moments when you're on very bumpy terrain. But this is all fixable when tyres come out in the future, which will have softer compounds. So right now, it's an amazing tyre out the box when it comes to carvability and manoeuvrability, but the compound is slightly too hard in my opinion for my riding style, as when you're doing big drops, you do want an extra cushion from the tyre. But out of the box, the stock slick tyre allows you to get from rail to rail to give that powder day feel. The Onewheel GT also has brighter LED light, and they're actually 300% more lumens than the XR, and you can control how bright you want your lights to be by using the slider within the app, which was unheard of in their previous boards. So this is another big upgrade from Future Motion, and the lights are amazing for nighttime shredding. You can see so far in front of you and enjoy the ride even when the sun's gone down. So now let's talk about the design. Every component in the Onewheel GT has been completely redesigned to make it the world's most refined shredding machine, and it's built like a tank with care and precision, handmade in Santa Cruz in America. And that's the thing that I've always loved about Onewheel, is that handmade vibe that comes with it. I still do prefer, in my personal opinion, the handmade and rustic gnarly look of the Onewheel XR. It's just more my vibe, but that's not to say the GT doesn't look good. The GT is polished just like the Pint, but I'm sure in the future I will learn to love its design even more, but right now I still do prefer the more rustic look of a Onewheel XR. With the Onewheel GT, you can rip it and grip it, because the Onewheel GT now comes with an aluminium rubber gripped mag handle pro that makes it super comfy to carry the board, because it is a heavy board. It weighs 32 pounds, so it is a lot heavier than an XR, and to now have the mag handle, that does make it a lot easier if you do have to transport it. But I do still prefer the large grab handle that they have at the front of the board, and I'm really glad they kept this from the XR. But it's great that we now have both options as standard. Inside the Onewheel app, the GT's interface has been completely redesigned with a whole new colorway and different riding modes. This allows you to customize the way it rides, check your battery status, change how bright the lights are, and you can also connect with other riders through the app. So it is such a powerful tool that comes with the boards. So that is the specification of the Onewheel GT, and I now want to talk about my experiences over the last couple of weeks of riding the Onewheel GT in comparison to the 2.5 years that I've been riding XRs. The Onewheel GT allows an endless adventure, because with this extra range, it's definitely given me more confidence to explore more trails, because I know I've got that extra charge to get me back home. I've really enjoyed the carvability of the tyre, but I have found it too stiff with the hard compound in some riding scenarios, such as drops with big tricks and also chunky terrain. But like I said, this can be improved in the future with a different tyre. A thing that's brought a smile to my face every time I ride it is just the sheer amount of power that this board packs. With the extra horsepower, giving the board now 3 horsepower, it just feels amazing. Like any terrain I'm putting it against, any hill, or even when I just want to do a fast pickup of acceleration when I'm on the streets, it just has your back. Like the nose doesn't even dip at all. There's no surging that you'd feel on an XR. Now obviously it will eventually nosedive because that's physics, but the way it gets up to speed feels so confidence inspiring that you really can lean on it and feel like it's got you. So that's amazing to provide that extra confidence for experienced and new riders. I've really enjoyed the stock grip tape in combination with the concave foot pads, because it really allows you to feel very locked in when you're leaning and carving hard. My only one complaint with the foot pads is when I've been doing drops or really any tricks that involve high impact on the pads, has been when my heels hit the edges of the concave pads. It has been quite uncomfortable because it's obviously a hard plastic. But luckily there is a product from One Trick Wheel called Foamies for the Homies that resolves this. The additional weight to the board definitely makes some tricks quite difficult because you have more weight to move around or pick up. So from a trick rider's perspective, I still do prefer riding the XR when it comes to technical tricks. But for just brute speed, crazy torque, gunning it everywhere, the GT is an absolute blast. When the GT arrived from UPS, we were so stoked because we'd all been riding XRs for years, and now it was so exciting to have a new flagship to experiment and see what we could really get it to do. So I think from everyone's perspective, even though it is so different to the XR, it is refreshing that we have something new to ride and something new to push to discover where we can take this ever-evolving electric board sport. From a filmmaker's perspective, the Onewheel GT is a next level tool that you can use to enhance your moving cinematography and take filmmaking to a whole new level. As now with the additional horsepower, you can accelerate and brake even faster, which provides additional confidence when you're riding with expensive professional gear, and it makes it even easier to track moving subjects because you now have that extra punch and extra confidence that you're not going to nosedive if you have to accelerate quickly to keep up. One-wheeling is so powerful for your mental health, and the GT is no exception. Now with the extra range, you can ride for even longer, which may help some people even more. But in general, riding one wheel allows you to clear your head and find your freedom and just feel more uplifted and inspired when you get back to work or wherever you're going. You've ridden there on the board and you arrived energized and ready to vibe. So to conclude, the Onewheel GT truly is the next generation from Onewheel, and it does live up to being called their latest and greatest flagship. But from my perspective, it does not mean that the XR is now irrelevant. There is some situations where the GT will be better, and there's also many situations where the XR will be better. Because if you just want to have endless adventures, you want to cruise around, the GT is amazing. That extra power and extra range means you really don't have to worry. You can just go, explore, and you'll be absolutely fine. But when it comes to the riding that I enjoy to do, which is technical tricks, slashes, bonks, drops, I really did enjoy the XR more when in comparison to the GT, simply because of the weight and how much easier it is for the XR to whip it around, because you have so many less pounds of weight underneath your feet in comparison to the GT. So what it really means is I'm not going to stop riding the XRs, but it doesn't mean the GT isn't amazing. I'm always going to ride the GT if I want to go for long adventures, or I just want to absolutely blast it, high acceleration up and down some crazy steep hills. But if I want to do something more technical, like tricks, I will always choose the XR because of the benefits of its frame size and weight, and also the amazing aftermarket products that have been developed for it because it's been out for so long. So thank you for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you have, please do like and subscribe, and I hope you've learned more about the Onewheel GT and how it could provide the endless adventure that you've been seeking. I know it's been great fun, and it's fitted into my lifestyle amazing, and it's so cool to have a new board on the block that we can shred. And I'll catch you in the next one.